There's a concept that we say in China, which is塞翁失马, 焉知非福. And essentially it means that something might happen that looks bad, but it might actually turn out to be a good thing. And that's what I'm seeing with this coronavirus outbreak. Right now, it seems like it could only be negative. And it is, it's a tragedy. It's, the economy is hit hard. There's people suffering. But it might actually turn out to be positive, to be beneficial for the country in the long run. And so I'm seeing this in three main areas. In the internet ecosystem, in the social shifts, and in the government interventions. So if we look at the internet ecosystem, there's three main areas in that I see that the coronavirus, this epidemic, this outbreak is actually going to make it stronger than it ever has been before. For example, in shopping, right? We've had online shopping in China for quite a while. It's nothing new in China. It's been around for a while. But we haven't seen it penetrate certain specific markets, like, for example, groceries. But during this outbreak, people had to stay at home. They couldn't go out. And so what happened was they started to buy their groceries online. And so now it's become normal. The second area that we look at in terms of the ecosystem, the internet ecosystem, is online education. For the first time ever, for the last week, Chinese students have been homeschooled. Never happened before. And so we've seen that actually there are ways that they can learn at home. And everyone's had to do this, from university students to people who are at courses, adult learning. You cannot go out and go to the course, so you have to do it at home. And so we're seeing entirely new models of online education. And the last piece when we talk about the internet ecosystems has to do with working from home. It's strange, we're used to going to the office and having all of our meetings face-to-face. But now we've actually been pushed into this situation where you have to stay at home. You don't have a choice, but we still got to get our work done. So it's going to create over the next few months, over the next few years, entirely new models of collaborating online. So the second area that I think about in terms of how the coronavirus epidemic is going to make China stronger than ever before has to do with the social shifts that we're going to see happening. In terms of when we think about the society, we're going to have a more health-conscious society. People are going to start thinking more about the food that they're eating, and we're also going to see that some of the biotechnologies are really going to expand. We're going to see entirely new ways of integrating medicine with society. We're also going to see it in terms of how China is integrating the smart city into everyday life. Now, we have more smart cities in China than in the rest of the world combined. And we're already seeing some of these things happening in the outbreak. So, for example, we've seen drones flying around different cities in China, recommending people, to make sure that they're wearing their masks, reminding them to be safe, reminding them not to spend too much time outdoors. And we've also seen, for example, these infrared cameras now that exist in the city. The infrared camera can actually pick out in that crowd which person might have a fever. And the last piece when it comes to the social shift is around China speed. Now, we've seen China speed in the form of infrastructure, creating infrastructure, building these railway systems, building this hospital at lightning speed. But we're also going to see China speed in the way that society integrates together. So one of the things that's happened during this coronavirus is we've had the government working with companies, working with the average person to make sure that everyone's working together to do something. And so we're going to see China speed also in terms of strategic coordination, strategic resource allocation across different tiers, different layers of society to where the resources need to go.